There's some serious tension building up inside the FIA, and it looks like Carlos Sr. might be in the crosshairs. Not long after he showed interest in running for FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulayem announced a set of new rule changes. Many people think the timing is no accident. These changes touch everything, from how the ethics committee works to how elections are run. Is this about improving things, or is it a way to stop opponents before they even get started? What began as a quiet shakeup has now turned into a political battle. Some insiders believe these moves are meant to make sure bin Sulayem stays in charge. The FIA president is already a controversial figure, known for clashing with teams, drivers, and the media. Now, he's pushing through big changes to the way the organization is run. Officially, these are called reforms, but a lot of people see them as strategic moves, especially given when they came. Just a few days after Carlos Sr., who's a well-known former rally champion and the father of Ferrari's driver, Carlos SCS, announced he might run for FIA president, bin Sulayem moved quickly. He introduced changes that would make it much harder for anyone challenging him to get on the ballot. One key change was to extend the deadline for submitting candidacies from 21 days to 49 days. On the surface, that sounds fine. More time usually helps. But insiders say it gives the ethics committee, which now favors bin Sulayem, extra time to block candidates by questioning their integrity. Carlos Sr. responded to all the speculation, saying he believes this is the right moment to take on the challenge. He also promised to step back from anything related to his son's racing career to avoid conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, bin Sulayem defended his changes, claiming they give more flexibility to handle urgent decisions on complex issues. While that sounds reasonable, many people in the sport see it as a worrying sign. One of the most controversial changes involves how the FIA deals with internal watchdogs. Two important officials who were investigating bin Sulayem's past actions were suddenly removed without any clear explanation. People inside the organization say this is no coincidence. By getting rid of these investigators, bin Sulayem has essentially cut off the checks on his own power. To replace them, he appointed loyal supporters to the ethics committee. This new group has lost much of its independence. This matters a lot, because this committee now plays a key role in approving or rejecting presidential candidates. If you don't have the current leadership's approval, this process can quietly stop your candidacy without a fair hearing. Previously, the Senate acted as a safeguard by approving its members through a vote, providing some balance. But under the new rules, the FIA president himself can directly appoint Senate members. This change removes an important layer of oversight and turns the Senate into a formality that just follows the president's lead. This all comes after a series of controversies during bin Sulayem's time in charge. Earlier this season, the FIA introduced stricter rules to control driver behavior, including fines for swearing on team radio. The reaction was fast and harsh, forcing the FIA to backtrack. Still, bin Sulayem tried to frame this as a leadership success, saying the changes were meant to balance fair play with the emotions of competition. Critics quickly called this out as hypocritical, especially since the same leader was tightening control over the FIA's internal bodies. This pattern of pushing changes, facing backlash, and then softening the stance has become familiar. What stands out now is that these moves seem aimed at a particular person. Carlos Sr. isn't just respected in motorsport circles, he also has real political strength. His possible candidacy could bring together support from national motorsport groups and drivers wanting a change from the current leadership. That's why these rule changes look suspicious to many. If the goal was really transparency and fairness, then why were the people investigating misconduct removed? Why get rid of checks and balances right after a potential challenger speaks up? Adding to this, several insiders at the FIA have been forced to stay quiet through legal agreements. Some former officials who criticized bin Sulayem were reminded of these agreements and at least one faced the threat of legal action. This shows an organization where speaking out is not just discouraged, but punished. Former FIA insiders, speaking anonymously to the media, described the environment as tense and controlled, more focused on power than proper governance. To many fans, changes about deadlines or committee roles may seem minor. But inside the sport's management, these are major shifts. If these new rules pass without challenge, Ben Sulayem could gain almost total control over the next FIA election, making it almost impossible for anyone to oppose him. For teams and drivers, this is more than just background noise. The FIA president has a strong influence over technical rules, how rules are interpreted, and even who gets to be race stewards. The officials making decisions during races. If the FIA's top leadership becomes untouchable, the decisions that come from it will be harder to question. Think about a controversial penalty or a call that seems unfair. Now imagine trying to challenge it when the same person controls both the rulebook and the committee that oversees fairness. The effects go beyond just race results. With Liberty Media aiming to increase its role in F1's business side, the way the FIA is run matters more than ever. If the governing body is seen as unstable or biased, it could hurt F1's reputation. Sponsors, broadcasters, and national racing groups all start to worry. Because a sport without trustworthy leadership isn't just chaotic, it's vulnerable. Some people still support Ben Sulayem, especially those within the FIA who backed his rise to power. Certain national motorsport delegates appreciate his efforts to control costs and support grassroots racing. But even among his allies, concerns are growing about how he's handling things now. If you have to remove your own investigators, silence critics, and change election rules just to keep your position, how strong is that leadership really? That's the question many are asking. Meanwhile, the FIA hasn't said much about these changes, but the message from the racing world is clear. This situation can't go on without checks. Whether Carlos Sr. runs for president or not, the system seems stacked against him. That's the real story here. It's not just about blocking one candidate. It's about changing the rules while the game is still being played. If motorsport wants to keep its integrity, the organizations that run it must be stronger than any one person. If that balance disappears, it's not just elections that suffer. The whole future of the sport is at risk. The coming months will show if these rule changes stay in place or if opposition inside the FIA pushes back. The warning signs are clear, and for the first time many in the paddock are paying close attention. The big question now is, are these actions necessary for better leadership, or are they a risky grab for power? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more updates on the politics behind motorsport, check out the next video on your screen.